It's time to read. The more you read, the more you know. The more you know, the more you grow. Today, our book is Rio Rob and the Runaway Calf. Rio Rob and the Runaway Calf by Jeff Plum, illustrated by Rosemary Jarman. A long time ago in the Wild West lived a cowboy named Pecos Bill. He could do anything other cowboys could do, except he did it 1,000 times better. He could ride a tornado as easily as a horse or lasso a hurricane like it was a little calf. His only equal was Slewfoot Sue. They had so much fun together that they decided to get married. They bought a colossal piece of land that stretched farther than the eye could see, with their son, Rio Rob. They lived as happily as pigs in mud. One morning, Rio Rob went outside to say hi to Sammy, his favorite cow. Sammy was the fastest calf anyone had ever seen. He could outrun horses, wildcats, and even trains. He could swim mighty rivers and jump over tall tree branches. This morning, however, Rio Rob made a terrible discovery. Sammy was gone. Pecos Bill and Slewfoot Sue were just sitting down to a hearty breakfast when Rio Rob burst in the door. He told them the awful news. "That's mighty bad news, son," said Pecos Bill. "A calf that fast and that strong has probably gotten pretty far." "There's supposed to be a storm coming," worried Slewfoot Sue. "Sammy might be fast and strong, but that's not going to help him with thunder and lightning out there. My pony Blaze might be fast enough to catch up to Sammy, Dad," said Rio Rob. "Since Sammy likes me, maybe he'll come if he hears my voice." Pecos Bill saddled up the horse. Stormy and Rio Rob jumped on Blaze. They galloped away from the house. They raced across the many acres that made up Pecos Bill's land. There were rocks, some scattered trees, and wild flowers in full bloom. The sky was as blue as a cool ocean. Green waves of grass rippled across the land. It was a scenic view, if you had the time, but Pecos Bill and Rio Rob were too busy searching for Sammy to enjoy it. Unfortunately, there was no sign of Sammy anywhere. Then Rio Rob heard a strange sound. Thump, thump, thump. Rio Rob looked up, and a hawk as big as Blaze was diving down from out of the sky. With one swoop, the hawk grabbed Rio Rob's shirt and picked up the pony and the boy. "Paw! Paw!" Rio Rob hollered. Blaze kept pawing the air with his hooves as he was still running on the ground. Rio Rob held on tightly to the reins of the pony. Pecos Bill and Stormy raced along the ground below. "Hang on!" bellowed Pecos Bill. He caught up to the giant bird. Pecos Bill twirled his lasso. threw it up into the air, and looped it around Blaze. As Pecos Bill held tightly to the rope, Rio Rob's shirt ripped, and he and Blaze were free of the hawk. The behemoth bird screamed like a cat with its stepped on tail and flew away. Rio Rob and Blaze used Rio Rob's shirt as a parachute, and they floated down like feathers. Pecos Bill whipped out a needle and thread. He sewed Rio Rob's shirt back together in the lightning quick second. Pa, I said something while I was up there. Rob said excitedly, there's something going on over by the river. Maybe someone's seen Sammy. They rowed over to the river. There weren't any people there, but there was some frogs holding a jumping contest. Some could jump higher than a building. The Emerald athletes could jump as far as the Pacific Ocean. Pecos and Rio approached the frogs. The jumpers greeted them cordially. This might have seemed rather fanciful and odd in another place. However, such chatty animals were common in Pecos Bill's neighborhood. Sure enough, the frogs said they had seen Sammy across the river a little while ago. Be careful, warned a frog. There's a nasty alligator waiting in the river. Pecos Bill and Rio Rob set off across the river. The water was so rough that the fish jumped up on Blaze and Stormy to get a safe ride across. At the other side of the river, they shook off the water and tossed back the fish. Suddenly, Rio Rob heard a splash, and there was the alligator. Pecos Bill grabbed the alligator by the tail without even using half the energy in his arm. He tossed the alligator all the way to Florida. The alligator landed right in a swamp. It turned out to be a pretty nice place to live, and the alligator was quite happy. Later, he sent Pecos Bill a thank you note. There was no time to relax, though. Dark clouds were moving closer. Rio Rob thought he saw a tiny dark dot moving in the distance. At first, Rio Rob thought it was an illusion. They had been searching so long that he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. Then he heard a soft moo. Sammy, cried Rio Rob. He and Blaze raced toward the calf with Pecos Bill not far behind. Rio Rob was sure Sammy would be glad to see them. However, when they drew close, the calf ran away. Rob, Rio Rob cried, calling Sammy's name, and held out some biscuits. But that didn't help. Rio Rob looked at the calf's face as it danced just out of reach. Then Rio Rob had an idea. Sammy's not trying to run away. He thinks we're playing with him. They raced towards Sammy. He ran away again. This time they saw Sammy laughing. Sure enough, he was just having fun. Rio Rob rode up close to Sammy. Then Rio Rob quickly turned and sped away. Sammy followed, trying to catch up with him. Pecos Bill snuck up behind the calf with his rope ready. Then he lassoed Sammy and pulled him up on the saddle with him. Let's go home, you silly calf, he shouted. They raced across the land and made it home in no time. Slewfoot Sue fed a big bale of hay to the hungry calf, and then he fell asleep. The family went back into the house and settled down. He had it had been a busy day, but that was common for Pecos Bill, Slewfoot Sue, and Rio Rob. Rio Rob and the Runaway Calf by Jeff Plum. Don't forget to put it in your reading log. Good night.